Hello Twinkle, this video is for you. It's time to bake. Okay, so first up, get 240 grams of milk. You can use fresh milk or evaporated milk, just make sure that it's not cold. And then add your 3 tablespoons of sugar. There you go, so it's very simple. Okay, next is your 2 teaspoons of instant yeast. So you can get this from supermarket or from any baking store. There you go. And then what is next? I think this time you have to get your egg. Okay, choose the larger size of egg or medium size. And then put it in your mixture. Okay, and this time get a sieve. There you go. And then make sure that all of your dry ingredients, your flour, your salt, those are sieved properly. So this time get 320 grams of all-purpose flour. If you don't have all-purpose flour, you can also use here a bread flour. And then add your salt as well at the same time and make sure to sieve it. Now get your mixer because we will be using it to mix all of your mixture. It's gonna be difficult if you will do it using your hand or spatula, so I suggest that you use your mixer. So you don't have to mix for a very long time. What you want to do here is just to make sure that everything will form like a ball, and then that's the time that you stop mixing because we're gonna add the butter next. Okay, so now you see that it's starting to form, and then while you're waiting for everything to mix together, then prepare your butter. The butter that we'll be using here, Twinkle, should be in room temperature. It should not be super hard, okay? So make sure that you prepare your butter ahead of time. So you got your 30 grams of butter and then you mix it again. So this time it's gonna be different. We will mix it a bit longer in high speed. This is the stage of kneading already, so we'll time it for 15 minutes on high speed. You can knead using your hands if you want to play around the dough, but it's gonna take you forever, so I would highly recommend that you use your mixer. So around 15 minutes, 14 minutes, you will see the texture of your dough becomes very shiny and very saggy. What do you call that? So this time you want to check if it's ready. And how I do it is that I do the window pane test. So this is very common to see if your dough is ready. So all you have to do is to get a little dough and then stretch it. If you see like it's not breaking, then that's ready. Now what I'm doing here is that I'm adding few drops of oil. You're not going to mix it really, but you want the oil to be under your dough so it will not stick, because after this we're going to leave it for an hour. There. So don't put too much oil. By the way, I'm using vegetable oil here. Don't use any other kind of oil in baking. It should always be canola oil, vegetable oil. So I think it's not enough, so I'm adding a few more drops of my vegetable oil. So it's actually easier to work with the dough when your hands are also covered with oil, like what you're seeing right now. The dough is no longer sticking on my hand, so it's easier for me to get it form a round shape and then put it back into the bowl. And then this time make sure that you cover it. So I'm using just plastic here, but make sure that it's airtight so it will have moist inside and it will help for the dough to rise. You can also use a cloth if you have one there. For sure you have one, so just leave it for an hour. And while we are waiting for the dough to rise, We could actually prepare your pan and then the filling as well of the bread. Now for the pan, you don't have to buy a new pan, just use any pans that you have at home. I am just putting a parchment paper here so it will not stick, so the bread will not stick to the pan. It's a bit difficult to remove it from the pan once you're done baking. So this is to avoid the bread sticking on your pan. So I'm just putting butter on the side. This is optional if you it's not optional if you don't have parchment paper covering all of the parts or corner of the pan. So I'm just lazy to cut another sheet of parchment paper. That's why I'm doing so now. So set aside the pan, prepare your filling for the bread. So since that we're making garlic malunggay bread, so I have my butter here. Again, this is in room temperature. I just added the sugar, and then I have the garlic minced, and then the green one is moringa or malunggay, but it's better if you have basil. I just don't have basil here, but if I have one, I will use that instead. So mix it all together until everything is incorporated. There you go. And then set it aside. We will use that later when the dough is ready. So after an hour, there you go, your dough is ready. You will notice that it doubled the size. All you have to do is to remove the air by poking it, as what you can see, and then make sure that your table as well is covered with flour. So don't put too much flour. You just need that so the dough will not stick on your table. And there, we're gonna form rectangle here because of the size of my pan. And make sure that it fits. Okay, I just put that there to make sure that I will not overspread my dough. There you go. And then while I'm doing this one, I am also preparing for the spread that we made earlier. So in terms of the thickness of your dough, you can just roughly estimate 2 centimeter thickness of the dough. Not too thin because it will break. So I think that thickness is just right enough. So I'm now going to spread the garlic filling all over the dough. Again, this is the fun part. If you want your garlic bread, let's say super garlicky, then you can add more garlic. If you want it too sweet, then add more salt. You could also use Nutella. It's too expensive, that's why I'm not using it. But if you have it in the fridge, then you can do it. You could experiment using different fillings. So the other day, I made cinnamon. So you could also do that. So once everything has been filled with your garlic spread, then roll it towards you as what you can see. There you go. So you see how the dough is not sticking on the table, so it's easier to work around it. Okay, and then get your knife, get a bread cutter, and we will start to slice the dough in, I think this one is 1.5 to 2 centimeters. It's very easy, right? It's fun as well. So once we are done with this, then we have to arrange it in the pan. Okay, so once you're done, we're gonna do the second proofing. This time it's not gonna take an hour anymore, but just for 20 minutes. Leave it for 20 minutes, make sure that it's covered. There, and then don't go over 25 or 30 minutes. Otherwise, it will have a different taste. So while I am waiting for the dough to rise again inside the pan, so as what you can see, I just prepared my oven. I preheated that to 180 degrees Celsius, and then right now what I'm doing is my egg wash. So egg washing is a process in bread making that it helps to improve the color of your bread when it's baking. If you don't do this process, the bread will just be plain white, and it's not very appetizing to look at. So in bread making, the bakers always do egg wash their bread. So by just adding 1 tablespoon of water and 1 egg, and then mix it all together. Now, when your 20 minutes is almost over, okay, make sure to put the egg into on top of the bread. So I am doing this roughly around maybe 5 minutes before the end of my 20-minute cooking, because I don't want really to overcook my bread. That's one of the things that you want to avoid, overcooking it, because it will have like a weird taste and you don't want it to be longer. Do not put too many eggs, otherwise I don't know if it will look super duper brown. So just put enough. If you feel that you have covered the bread enough, so stop. Okay, now I think the oven is ready. So I have my 180 degrees Celsius already. Now put the bread in and then set your timer.